I have no reaction. I think the biggest thing is it has nothing to do about the performance. It's a little bit personal than that. So I think that's it's a disrespectful thing. So yeah, I mean, I'm gonna keep whatever I feel with me and my family internally on how I feel about that. Last time I played on this field, I tore my Achilles, and that same fan base they cheered when I got hurt. So does that have to do with what does that have to do with anything about performance? When a person get hurt, especially for your own city, and they cheer.
It's over. I know the Browns have the worst quarterback room in the league. I know it is absolutely terrifying to think that your best option at quarterback is Shador Sanders. And as bad as he is on the field, at least fans in Cleveland can get behind Shador Sanders. At least he has potential. At least Shador Sanders doesn't come along with unnecessary baggage. And he damn sure doesn't come along with arguably the worst contract in the history of the league. The Cleveland Browns have been begging their fan base to accept Deshaun Watson for almost 5 years now. Are the allegations the reason that Deshaun Watson is being rejected in Cleveland? Sure, that's part of the reason. But the real reason Deshaun Watson is being rejected, he's not winning. To make matters worse, the dude barely plays. Since 2022, Deshaun Watson has played 19 games. He has barely played a full season in the last 4 or 5 years. His contract is fully guaranteed, so Deshaun Watson has made, I think it's around $184 million in that time span, which means he was paid around $9 million a game. $9 million a game for a 9-10 record. Would you be cheering for that? If you were a fan of the Cleveland Browns, one of the most passionate fan bases in the league, I have kind of a soft spot for Cleveland. They remind me a lot of New Orleans. Two fan bases who support their teams whether they win or lose. If you were a fan in Cleveland, would you support the most overpaid player in the league who not only barely plays, he whines and complains damn near every time he plays? These people in Cleveland hate me for no reason. They're not real fans. 4 years in Cleveland. Deshaun Watson hasn't given them a reason to support him. I guarantee you, if Deshaun Watson was winning, his past would be forgiven. Now, notice I did not say forgotten. No one will ever forget. But if Deshaun Watson was winning, he would be forgiven. Winning has this magical way of easing the act of forgiveness. Most NFL fans, they really don't care what players are doing off the field. The media will overreact to it. The media will be self-righteous. Lonely men on Reddit, they'll pretend to be offended. But most fans, they don't care. Would I prefer to have high character guys on my team? Obviously. Would I prefer family men, good fathers? Would I prefer guys like Demario Davis, strong Christian men? Yes, but I'm also realistic. You think fans in Minnesota care that Anthony Edwards is a deadbeat dad? If Zion Williamson was reaching his potential and the Pelicans were winning, you think fans in New Orleans would care that he's helping OnlyFans models maintain their figure through fornication exercises? No! Most people would not care. As long as you're winning, as long as you're an elite performer, most fans don't care. Problem for Deshaun Watson, he's not an elite performer. Now, he used to be. At one point, Deshaun Watson was well on his way to being one of the best quarterbacks in the league. From 2018 to 2020, dude was unbelievable. But that was 6 years ago. In the NFL, 6 years is an eternity. Since 2020, Deshaun Watson's played 19 games. He missed the entire 2021 season, missed the entirety of last season. I don't care who you are, that is damn near impossible to come back from. When you combine it, Deshaun Watson has essentially missed 4 of the last 5 years. That would be hard for Tom Brady to overcome. That would be difficult for Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, and those dudes eat, sleep, and breathe football. Deshaun Watson went through a trauma. Now, whether it was self-created or not, it was still traumatic. It was the ultimate distraction. And at the quarterback position, the most cerebral, the most mental position in all of sports, you cannot afford to have distractions because it impacts your performance on the field. 2026. This is it for Deshaun Watson. The Browns are a flaming ass fire. This team will be lucky to win 2 or 3 games. It's the final year of his contract, and because of his contract, Deshaun Watson will likely be the starter going into the season. But that is essentially putting polish on the turd. It's over. At 31 years old, he's not the future in Cleveland. The Browns need to see what they have with Shedeur Sanders or Dylan Gabriel, because you know what you have with Deshaun Watson, a once great player, someone who was on the verge of being elite, who's now just a sad story of lost potential. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys tomorrow.